Hi guys, Stephen Mendes here again with another broadcast. I had planned to make a synth video this afternoon, but I have some important things to tell you on a wide range of topics, and I think you'll want to hear what I have to say. So let's get started. Flat Earthers and the Flat Earth Society or Club or whatever they want to call it. Do you know, I was watching a YouTube video and it seemed like the guy was presenting a really good idea, and it was something to do probably with alternative medicine or health or something, and it seemed like quite a plausible idea he was coming with. Then I did dig a little deeper into his videos and I realized that he's a flat earth proponent. Do you want to believe anything from a flat earth proponent? Let me tell you about Eratosthenes. He's a Greek guy that used to live thousands of years ago, and with nothing more than a stick, he was able to prove that the world was round. And not only was he able to prove it, but he was actually able to calculate its circumference, and his calculations were not that far off, even when compared with the latest laser readings that we're able to get. And yet, you still have people in 2020 at the cusp of scientific advancement running around talking about flat earth and trying to prove that the earth is flat. Does that seem reasonable to you? So, don't believe everything you hear on any tube, okay? It's just entertainment. At the end of the day, it's all about entertainment. My channel is one of the few that hardly entertains. I'm pretty serious. Most of my videos are either helping college students all over the world with all sorts of maths and technical problems they may be having, or when I'm not doing that, I'm educating people who are musicians in various aspects of the technological equipment which has become so much a part of their music making endeavors. Right, so it's just a little light entertainment occasionally when I try to bring you these personalized messages, but it's important that I do this because of all the nonsense that's floating around on YouTube, and it's quite convincingly packaged. I mean, I just sit here and talk to you, but some of the most convincing presentations are those that present all kind of background images to support their various contentions and conclusions. It's amazing what a subliminal message can come from a background image in convincing the unsuspecting about the truth of a complete nonsensical fallacy. Inane, senseless people. Foolishness. Okay? So, you need to have some sort of detector that raises a big noise when you're watching these YouTube videos and nonsense is being masqueraded in all sorts of fancy ways to sway the gullible. Now, the next thing that I want to address on the show this afternoon is the illogical connection that people are making between the coronavirus and the 5G technology. This is the height of stupidity. As an electronics and radio engineer for many, many years, I have been readily admitting the fact that radio and television was the ultimate propaganda tool of governments. Governments wanted to get a radio and a television into the house of everybody because they saw the potential for controlling what people think and what people believe by the simple tool of radio and television. And now it's gone one step further. But people are going on social media making all sorts of ridiculous ideas, and then when the media takes them down, they say, well, look, they're taking them down, so that's a proof that they must be right. That's really not a logical conclusion to come to. Because the authorities have always wanted to control what people have access to, what they think and how they act. So that part is quite okay. But you have to remember that a lot of these wacky propositions and proponents of various weird ideas are only interested in views, subs, and publicity as well. Which brings us to the breatharians, who believe that your intestine is just another lung, and they've claimed to live on air. I don't know what they've been smoking, but clearly the fact that they've got, in some cases, 100,000 views just shows the intelligence of some of the people that go around YouTube. Anyway, that's a complete tangent to what I wanted to talk about this afternoon. So let us keep focused on 2 or 3 topics. Otherwise, we'll ramble all over the place for the next half an hour and you'll get frustrated and tune out. We don't want that to happen. We want you to benefit from the entire broadcast. So, we were talking about the coronavirus and its correlation between the 5G radio network. And we were putting it to you that it's as crazy a connection as the flat earth people make between the nonsensical rubbish that they use to support their flat earth idea. There is absolutely no relation whatsoever between coronavirus and 5G. It's a fact. And we are not saying that 5G is a good thing. We are not even saying that there's not some radiation risk to your health or to your biological well-being from 5G. But all we're saying is that the manifestations of a 5G problem do not result in coronavirus. Furthermore, any investigation that any half an idiot can do can see that there is no absolute correlation between the outbreaks of the 5G, the outbreaks of the coronavirus and the deployment of 5G. I don't think these people have even bothered to check and figure out where the 5G is actually deployed. Anyway, we want you to know for sure that we're not endorsing 5G as safe just because the authorities say it's safe. We can make a whole new video on the effects of radio waves, millimeter radio waves on the human body. And that will be the subject for another long video at some time or the other. So we are saying that there are potential or possible health risks from 5G. But what we are saying is there's nothing to substantiate that it has any connection with the respiratory illness known as coronavirus. Okay, let's move on to another topic. I want to talk about progress, or what the public perceives as progress. Where is the world actually headed, technologically speaking? I hold an HP 50G scientific calculator. It's more than just an ordinary calculator and shares much in common with tablets and computers. However, it has a monochrome screen and has a keyboard input. It, however, supports a flash card in the bottom, and it has USB connectivity to your computer on the front. Why am I showing you this HP 50G calculator? This calculator was, or came out of, a whole range of scientific graphic calculators going back to the 80s. And I have a whole playlist on this on YouTube. When I purchased this calculator in 2012, it cost about 120 US dollars. Now, you have to pay 500 US dollars to get one of them, simply because of its being discontinued in manufacture. Now, the very fact that people can actually ask and receive 5 times the price for an obsolete calculator goes to show you that serious engineers, scientists, and people who are in the know mathematically know when you have a good product replaced by a not so good product. The replacement calculator that the HP company has offered to replace this 50G is something called the HP Prime. First of all, it looks more like a cell phone than a calculator, is touch screen operated, and uses a rechargeable battery that's very similar to a cell phone. The only problem with it is you can't get the battery. People are online wondering where can they get a battery. Amazon doesn't have them. Who else has them? Batteries are hard to get. And the thing is, every battery is going to go bad at some point. Where was the wisdom in replacing an AA battery that's been around and available, readily available, with some kind of unique lithium battery that doesn't fit any other product on the face of the earth? Does that make sense to you? Now, the other problem is that they have abandoned some of the really useful logic that was used in this particular calculator design in favor of some very illogical ideas that very few people are going to find useful. So why would anybody want this Prime calculator? Well, I suppose they will buy it because it's an HP product, because it does have, it's probably one of the few remaining calculators that implements RPN in some shape or form. Anybody who is using an RPN calculator will never want any other brand of calculator ever again. RPN is the way to go. And the Prime is, of course, faster, about 4 times faster than this HP 50G. But what I'm saying is, you would have thought that if they cared about progress and they listened to their public and they listened to the buying public, they would have done a better show at making a replacement to such great a calculator line than the Prime. Let us switch now to GPS receivers. I hold a Garmin GPS 76 CSX unit. This unit has seen, how many years is it? It was purchased in 2017. 13 years of use in the jungle and on the trails hiking in Barbados. I have left it on the bumper of my car. I've done all kinds of crazy things, and by the grace of God I still have my GPS 76 and it's actually working. The other day, for some reason, the warm boot did not activate properly and it wouldn't lock on to the satellites. It kept acquiring satellites, but it wouldn't actually do. I tried another unit because I have another one of them, but it's not the one that has in. This one has in the compass and the barometer. That other one doesn't have in the compass and the barometer. But both of them were doing the same thing. And then when I run it through the routine to select a new location, where it actually has to actually locate the satellites as well as acquire the signals, it went back working okay. And now I discovered, after I bought another one, that as long as you don't turn it on within the same period, that is, you can turn it on morning and you can turn it on evening, and the change in the satellites, the GPS positioning between that time will cause it to work properly. But if you turn it off and turn it back on like 20 minutes later or an hour later, it will have a problem acquiring the satellites. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I bought, after much searching and research, the 64S. Take a long look at the 64S. The 64S is cute, isn't it? I liked it. And when it came, I was quickly disappointed at first. But once I figured it out, that I could actually configure it, that's the word I was looking for, with both the HP 50G and this animal. They're both highly configurable. You can configure it just the way you want. The HP 50G has a complete user keyboard underlying or overlaying what is the current keyboard. So you can actually program this to suit yourself. The Prime doesn't give you that ability. Anyway, to cut a long story short, this animal, I was able to configure it so that I had all the familiar options I wanted. It behaved in the same manner, gave me the same readings, operated pretty much the same as my GPS 76 map of 13 years ago. And there were some added benefits. It holds more tracks, which is greater memory. It has a much neater and tidier display that refreshes faster, gives you a better look to your streets and roads and so on. And generally speaking, it's a unit that I've grown to love. It does have a few bugs. I can bring you to their attention in review. But the reason for going here, and I'm tying it all together in a minute, is this is now obsolete as well. When you go, you can't buy these new. They're no longer. I bought it 1 year ago and it's now discontinued. And guess what? You have to pay more money for the replacement and get topo maps. Who cares? I don't live in the US. I don't need topo maps. Garmin maps are overpriced anyway. All I wanted is a base unit and I'll put in my own map. Thank you very much. But this is the sign of the times and the way the world is going. People, we are going backwards. Instead of engineering products at competitive prices that people want, that people say, this is a great product, they take a great product, discontinue it, and the new replacement, you wonder what they were smoking or drinking when they were designing it. And on that note, dear people, we wind our way back to synthesizers. Behind me is a recreation of an ancient technology. It's idiot-proof. It uses simple operational amplifiers in most of its module, generic operational amplifiers. It's easily repairable. There is nothing to go wrong, you just plug your wires in and you go. There's no upgraded program, there's no distress. You just play with the knobs and have fun. Many of these modern keyboard instruments, every month or two, they bring out some update or patch or something to put into it. And well, in the case of the keyboards, you don't have to do it because it's not like a computer online where viruses can get you or where you can be hacked and all that. As long as your musical instrument sits there and plays, you don't even have to put in the update unless it specifically has features that you want. But the world is addicted to change. And the change, dear people, is not necessarily for the better. Okay? And on that note, I'm going to be leaving you today. It's hot in here and I got to turn on the air conditioner. I'm in a total sweat. Thanks for watching the Stephen Mendes channel and see you in the next video.